Welcome, friend. I'm TK, your tour guide to the past, and you are listening to For the Love of History, the podcast where we talk about world history, women's history, and weird history. There are very, very few things in this world that I love more than pirates. And the only thing I love more than a pirate is Ted. But jokes aside, the only thing that can top a pirate is a lady pirate. And the only thing better than a lady pirate is a lady pirate queen. I'm now realizing that lady and queen are redundant. A pirate queen, okay? Pirate queens are S-tier level things that I love. So to combat all of the things that are going on in the world right now, to squeeze a little bit of dopamine out of our very, very tired brains, I thought today we could do an Empress Baddie episode. Nice, cozy, back to our roots Empress Baddie episode. And that's exactly what we're gonna do today. But before we swash any buckles or plunder any booty, we're going to need to do some housekeeping to keep the lights on here at History Headquarters. So first thing is first, what the heck? Anyways, if you haven't heard already, we will be doing a History BFF trip in Japan from August 24th to the 30th, and August 25th is my birthday, so it'll be a History BFF / TK birthday party trip to Japan. We will be going to all sorts of really cool places, Osaka, Kyoto, Nara. We'll be going and doing some matcha making. We'll be seeing some deer. We'll be eating some delicious food. We'll be singing karaoke together. You and me will be having a stress-free, history-loving holiday to escape everything that is going on, especially if you're living in the United States of America right now. So why not escape reality for like a week, hang out with me in Japan, and join us on the History BFF trip. You can book your spot with just 25% of the ticket price down as a down payment to secure your spot, and then pay the rest in installments. So if you want to join us on that, or just check it out and see if you're interested, you can see all of that information in the show notes below. Next on the docket is the For the Love of History app. We are getting so close to our fundraising goal for the For the Love of History app, which is going to be an app that follows along with each episode with fun bonus activities, with some trivia questions, with some hydration check-ins, because of course we always have to drink our water, some scavenger hunts, and some walkable history activities that is going to be really, really fun. So if you donate to the History BFF app, you will get to be a beta tester for the app once it's all done and ready to go. And of course, all of that information will be in the show notes below if you would like to donate. And finally, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you are watching over on YouTube, and if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, please consider leaving a rating or review. That really helps out the algorithm know to push this podcast out to more people to become History BFFs. And with that, my hearty, it's time to grab your favorite eye patch and maybe draw on a little swashbuckling mascara mustache, and let's get to it. Picture this. You're a captain of a Greek merchant ship traveling across the Adriatic Sea, just trying to make your way to Rome. Your ship is loaded with top-tier pottery, and you're hoping to trade it for some very high-quality olive oil. Easy enough job, right? But something this time feels off. You scan the horizon and your gut starts turning. You've heard that those Zeus-be-damned Illyrian pirates have been getting bolder, and every other ship that dares cross these waters barely makes it out in one piece. But you have faith in the gods. Surely those pirate barbarians have stayed home and are enjoying a nice, quiet evening of not pillaging. But just in case, you whisper a quick prayer to Poseidon. But before you finish, your second in command taps your shoulder and points to a cluster of fast-moving dots on the horizon. Your stomach drops, and you already know what's coming. Pirates have been pirating since the 4th century BCE, from the Egyptians to the ancient Chinese, the Mediterranean raiders, and beyond. Seafaring bandits have been yo-ho-hoing for thousands of years. But when most people think of pirates, they picture the swashbuckling scallywags from the 16 to the 1800s. Pirates like Blackbeard, Henry Morgan, Sir Francis Drake, all those bearded fellas. But what we don't hear about nearly enough are the pirates of the ancient world. And even more rare, ancient pirate women. And I thought it was high time that we fix that. So today, my delicious donut, we are hopping in the time machine back to the 200 BCEs to meet the one and only Pirate Queen Teuta of Illyria. Now, let's set the scene. The Illyrian people, or rather the people the Greeks decided to call the Illyrians because the ancient Greeks weren't exactly known for their nuanced understanding of cultures outside of their own, were a collection of tribes in what is now the Balkans. They were separate tribes, but the Greeks were like, hey, you guys have vaguely similar cultures. You're all the Illyrians. Congratulations. But they were separate people, and our story today takes place specifically in modern-day Albania, in the kingdom of Adriatic. Now, I have heard this pronunciation several different ways, so I am going to use the pronunciation that pronunciation.com told me, Adriatic. If it is wrong, please correct me in the comments. I am very serious about pronouncing things correctly in their correct way, so please learn me if it is not correct. So, at the helm of this kingdom was King Agron, a man who was as buccaneery as they come. His navy dominated the Adriatic, and his army bulldozed through as many Illyrian lands as he could grab. Once he was done conquering his neighbors, he turned his sights towards Greece and thought, yeah, I could take them. And dear one, take them he did, or at least a chunk of them, proving that sometimes Delulu really is the Salulu. In 231 BCE, Agron and his posse of pilfering plunderers set their sights on Anatolia and proceeded to beat the ever-living olive oil out of them, checking their takeover off of his conquest checklist. Feeling very proud of himself, King Agron decided to fully indulge in all the pleasures Dionysus had to offer in celebration. And he partied so hard that his lungs exploded. I mean, technically, the cause of death was pleurisy, which is an inflammation of the lung, but let's be real, that's just fancy talk for he drank himself to oblivion, his lungs got super inflamed, and his body went, absolutely not, I'm checking out of this corporeal form. Truly, he was a very work hard, play hard kind of guy, which is great for you. You know, if you're not the leader of an entire kingdom of people, you gotta have a little bit of responsibility. Because unfortunately for him, he died, and for the rest of Illyria, his only heir was a toddler. And I don't know if you've ever spent an extended amount of time with a toddler, but they are not management material in the least. They have no concept of long-term strategy, and they are incredibly emotional, okay? My niece is 2, almost 3, and I love her very much. But if her blue juice is not in the fridge, or if I give her the Triceratops socks instead of the plesiosaur ones that she likes, she will lay siege upon your whole afternoon, and it is not a fun time. So, what was the kingdom to do? After all of Agron's hard work, no one wanted it to be ruined by a temper tantrum from a 2-year-old, so the kingdom was left with a very pressing issue. Who would take the throne? Unfortunately, on this day, Poseidon did not hear your prayers. And as the pirates began to board your ship, you think to yourself, who in the hell is running this absolute piratey empire? What kind of deal with the gods did these sea marauders make to become so powerful? Even when that boozy lush Agron was in charge, piracy wasn't this out of control. Is there some ancient Blackbeard pulling the strings? Is there some mastermind pirate king behind all of these attacks? Well, actually, yes. Yes, there is. Except she is a woman, and her name is Queen Teuta. After King Agron partied himself into an early death, rest in peace his lungs, his second wife, Teuta, took over as regent for her stepson, Prince Phineas. Phineas was not her biological son, and in fact, I'm not sure if Teuta had any children of her own with Agron. Agron had been married before to Queen Teuta, but they split up, and I'm not sure why they split up, but Agron got custody and it was a bit messy, like a royal divorce tends to be. It was Illyria's very own ancient soap opera. But after all that mess, Agron and Teuta, not Teuta, got married. Up until this point, around 230 BCE, we have no records of Teuta and what she was up to. The Romans, being the gossipy historians that they were, didn't bother writing about some random barbaric woman from an uncivilized, air quotes, country in their very fancy important histories. She only appears in the record when she becomes regent, and even then, the Romans are about as reliable as an AI Facebook image that your boomer parent has reposted. So the information that we have on her is scant, and we have to take the information with a bit of a pinch of salt. Maybe a hooping heap. A hooping heap? What is that? That's not a unit of measurement. A hooping heap of salt. Because the Romans write some pretty nasty things about her. And maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But what we do know is that when Teuta became queen regent, she didn't just take the throne. She grabbed it by the hilt like a cutlass, waved it around her head, and said, "It's pirate season, baby." Or at least that's what I think she said. Allegedly. Allegedly, quote Teuta. Let's go pirating, baby. So stupid. Piracy was always a way of life for the Ardean people, but under Teuta, it went from accepted career path to Illyria's #1 booming industry. She cranked up piracy to 11, and suddenly the Adriatic Sea was less of a trade route and more of a thieves' guild annual meetup. Or daily meetup, to be perfectly honest with you. Teuta started handing out letters of marque, and if you don't know what that is, a letter of marque is basically a piece of paper that tells a regular ship, hey, you can be a legal pirate. Congratulations. So she was handing out these letter of marques like they were party flyers. And before long, the Adriatic Sea was a no-go zone for anyone who actually wanted to make it home alive. Pirating was so prevalent during this time that it was even said that Teuta herself went out on raids, leading fleets that swarmed Greek and Roman vessels like flies on a piece of lunch meat left out in the sun. Since 346 BCE, the Roman Senate had been getting complaints about the chaos in the Adriatic, but Teuta, she took it to the next level and truly earned her title as Queen of the Pirates. And after she was thoroughly satisfied that she had taken over every part of the Adriatic Sea, she turned her eyes toward the land. First, she sent her army to the Peloponnese, Sparta. Washboard abs, booty short wearing folks, holding spears, really, really good friends with their comrades. Winky face. Those Spartans. Well, her forces wrecked their defenses, and she took the city. But she didn't stop there. Next, she set her sights on Phoenix, the wealthiest city in northern Greece. She stormed it, took control like it was an all-you-can-plunder buffet, and then held the city for ransom. Because what's a pirate queen without a little hostage negotiation? At this point, both Greece and Rome's economies were suffering, and they couldn't keep ignoring the problem for much longer. So Rome, in its infinite wisdom, decided to solve the pirate crisis by sending out 2 diplomats, the Coruncanius brothers, and you have to do the Italian hands when you say their names. I don't know where the Coruncanius brothers got their degrees in foreign relations, because their approach to this very delicate situation was to annoy the scary lady until she stopped committing piracy. That was their whole plan, okay? Which is not a good one. Maybe don't annoy the pirate lady. Maybe don't do that. Anyways, let me tell you what they did. So what I'm about to tell you comes from the histories of the Roman historian Polybius. And this is one of the only primary source contemporary documents that we have about Teuta during this time. And once again, we do have to take whatever is said here with a, what did I say? A whooping hop? A whooping hop of salt. Because we both know how the Romans were. So, let us discuss what happened during this clandestine meeting. According to Polybius, he tells us that Teuta was literally in the middle of a siege when she had to drop everything to deal with Tweedledee and Tweedledum, Coruncania brothers, which to start a diplomatic meeting was not a great idea. Interrupting the pirate queen while she was in the middle of conquering a city, 0 out of 10, do not recommend that you start your diplomatic meeting in that way. But, not wanting to be rude, she came and accepted them into the hall. And once they were there, they started their diplomatic mission by regaling Teuta with the bad things her pirates had done to Rome and Greece. So she's already in a bad mood. And now you're gonna mansplain to her? Okay. Weird approach, not what I would choose, but pop off king, alrighty? According to Polybius, during this lecture, she listened with, quote, an insolent and disdainful air, which basically means she was pissed as shit and honestly fair. Okay? Fair. She responded by saying something along the lines of, I'll do my best to stop the Illyrian officials from attacking Roman ships, but there's not really anything that I can do about private piracy because, we don't punish pirates like that because it's like a private thing. Not my problem. So, GTFO. And the youngest Coruncanius brother did not like this response. He was not happy. And he made an even bigger mistake than calling Teuta from a battle, all right? He decided to lecture her on how to govern her own people. He told her, and I quote, the Romans, O Teuta, have the most excellent custom of using the state for the punishment of private wrongs and the redress of private grievances, and we will endeavor, God willing, before long to compel you to improve the relations between the sovereign and the subject in Illyria. And to that, Polybius said that Teuta received this plain speaking with womanish passions, say that 10 times fast, and unreasoning anger. Unreasoning anger? Excuse me, Polybius, okay? Lucius and his brother, the Coruncanius brothers, barge into a queen's court. They interrupt her siege. They mansplain governance to her. They tell her her way of ruling is not a good way of ruling and she should follow what Rome does. And then you're going to act shocked that she got mad? Be serious. Be so serious, Polybus. Which is a terrible name, by the way, okay? Any ruler would be pissed as shit. Do you think a Roman diplomat, would go into another king's kingdom and be like, you're not ruling in the way that we want you to rule? Actually, no, they probably would, because that's just how the Romans were. But I'm sure that king's reaction would not be described as angry without reason. Or what did he say? Womanish passion? What does that even mean, Polybius? Stupid. Anyways, she was angry, and rightfully so, and she exacted that anger like so many rulers before her and after her have. She shot the messenger. Literally. She sent assassins onto the brothers' ship, and the little mouthy Lucius got an express shipping down the river Styx with no refunds, okay? He basically got. He got on the way to Rome, on the way home to Rome, and of course, assassinating a Roman diplomat. Although an incredible power move, it was kind of like poking the bear with a spear. You can't do that and expect Rome to not retaliate. So Rome was not going to take that lying down, and they responded. Oh boy, did they respond. Teuta may have been the undisputed queen of piracy, but now she had an empire-level problem on her hands. Rome was coming for Illyria. Almost immediately, Rome sent out 200 ships filled with 20,000 infantry to put a stop to Teuta's reign. But was she worried? Not in the slightest, actually. Teuta had absolute confidence in her army and, most of all, her second-in-command, General Demetrius. They had fought and won wars against the Greeks before, so how different could the Romans possibly be? Well, fortunately for her, the Romans were built just a little bit different. However, if things hadn't turned into an episode of Jerry Springer, Ancient Illyrian Edition, Teuta might have actually had a chance. But there was a traitor in her midst. A power-hungry, conniving traitor. We'll never know exactly how long Demetrius, her second-in-command, her big cheese, the dude that she relied on, had been plotting against Teuta, but somewhere between her rise to power and Rome's arrival, he pulled off the ultimate betrayal. He married Teuta. Yes, the ex-wife of King Agron. He married the ex-wife and switched sides. And in exchange for Rome's support of him becoming the new regent, he handed them Illyria on a silver platter. Rome, of course, loved this deal. They were like, sure, Demetrius will support you. Awesome. Just help us defeat this pirate queen. So what Demetrius did, that lying sack of human garbage, he personally escorted their armies through Illyria, opening doors and pointing out the best cities to conquer like some sort of horrible war tour guide. One by one, Illyrian strongholds fell. Teuta, outnumbered and abandoned, was forced to surrender. But here's the thing. Rome didn't execute the pirate queen. Whether out of respect, fear, or because they simply wanted her gone, they just exiled her to another remote domain, far from the sea that she once ruled. And that should have been the end of her story, except legend gives us an alternative ending. According to Albanian folklore, Teuta didn't waste away in exile. Nay, dear one. She refused to let Rome have the satisfaction, and instead, in a final act of defiance, she climbed the top of a towering cliff, looked down at the city she once ruled, and cursed it for all eternity. She cursed the Albanian city now known as Durrës to, quote, never have a seafaring tradition, which is an incredibly specific type of curse. Then after thoroughly cursing the city, she threw herself into the sea below, returning to the sea forever, like the true pirate queen that she was. Some say her spirit still haunts the Adriatic, whispering to the waves and calling sailors to their doom. Others believe she is simply too legendary to die because, well, Teuta is still remembered over 2,000 years later. In modern-day Albania, Queen Teuta is a national icon. Statues of her stand tall in cities like Tirana and Durrës, the town that she cursed, honoring her as a symbol of strength, resistance, and Albanian pride. Her name graces streets, businesses, and even ships, ensuring that the Pirate Queen's legend literally sails on. And if you ever visit Albania's coast, you might just hear stories of how her spirit still guards the Adriatic, standing watch over the waters she once ruled. Some even say that on stormy nights, when the wind howls and the sea rages, it's not just nature at work. It's Teuta, still defying Rome, still refusing to bow. And even though Teuta was defeated in battle, I think she won essentially the history war. Because let's be real, when history forgets the men who tried to silence you, but remembers you as a pirate queen who cursed an empire, that's real power. That's really winning. So next time you're by the sea and the wind sounds just a little bit too much like laughter, maybe, just maybe, it's the Pirate Queen of Illyria. Well, dear one, we have come to our final thought, and today's final thought is a little bit of a lore drop, okay? A little bit of a lore drop. So I love Queen Teuta's name because it sounds like my name. My name is not actually TK. I just go by TK on the podcast because sometimes it's really hard to say. And more lore drop. I started this podcast on April 1st, thinking that if it flopped, I could just say it was a big April Fool's joke and I could hide my identity by calling myself TK, which is T for Taya, K for Kai. So it's just really cool to have somebody in history with a name that's very similar to mine. It's not the same. Teuta and Taya are different, but it's just cool. As a kid, whenever, we went on vacation or something and all the other kids were getting like the name keychains or the name necklaces or those little pieces of rice with your name written on them that were super popular in the early 2000s and 2010s. I never got to have that. The closest I ever got was Taylor, and no offense to any Taylors, it's just not my name. So to hear somebody with my name or similar name in history it's just really cool, and I really enjoyed it. So I hope you enjoyed that little lore drop. Boom. Well, dear one, if you are still here at the end of the episode, thank you so much for tuning in to this good old-fashioned back to our roots Empress Baddie episode. It's been so long since we have done one, an official one, not an honorary Empress Baddie, although we do love our honorary Empress Baddies. I'm just happy to get back in these trying times and just having a good old Empress Baddie episode that doesn't end in absolute tragedy. So just a quick reminder about the History BFF trip. If you'd like information about that, it is in the show notes below. If you're listening over on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe and leave a little comment on this video letting me know what your favorite part of this episode was. What did you enjoy? What did you take away? And what were you drinking? What was your little drinky drink? Okay, what were you sipping on while you were listening to this episode? I would love to know. And if you're listening on the podcast version, please leave a rating or review. That is super duper helpful. And thank you for just being here. I really appreciate it. Yeah. And that's all I got for you. Next week, we will have a guest on the podcast talking about medieval menstruation. And I'm very excited about it. We have a fellow Instagram historian coming on to talk about medieval periods, and that sounds the medieval period. The medieval periods. Oh. It's a bad joke. Anyways, I hope you do something kind for yourself this week. Please drink your water. I have a confession. I am drinking a matcha latte right now. So while very technically not water, it is also very technically water. So take a sippy sip or two. I love you so much, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye. Shut off the camera. Shut off the camera. Shut off the camera. How do I say this? Pronunciation. Peloponnese. To the Peloponnese. To the Peloponnese. Have you ever seen a whale with the polka dot tail? Down by the bay, where the watermelon grow. Back to my home, I dare not go, for if I do, my mother would say, ow, 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 what? Oh, you ever just need to scream? You ever just have a scream just locked and loaded that you need to let out? Cause that's me all the time. Hey, my mother will say, stop being so weird. Never. I've had far too much caffeine in my body. Alright, that'll do it right there. Take some water. Ma'am, hi. What are we doing here today? Okay, stop it. Get it together, get it together. Focused. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. What? Focus. Look at my new bookmark. So cute. Not an important thing that we need to be discussing right now. Hey, stop it. Leave my lights alone. Matcha cha cha cha. Matcha. Ugh. Okay. Coruncanios.